Smell us now, lady.
Welcome to MeatEater Trivia.
MeatEater Podcast.
Welcome to MeatEater Radio Live. We're coming to you from MeatEater HQ in Bozeman, Montana, but we're not live today. I'm your host, Spencer Newharth, joined by Ryan Callahan, Giannis Putelis, Randall Williams, and Corey Calkins. This is a pre-recorded episode because we're on Christmas break. On today's episode, we're answering your questions from how to pick the perfect puppy to unique ways to prepare ground meat. This entire show is Q&A. But boys, it is dang near 2025. You got any New Year's resolutions you're going to be working on?
I think we should tackle the fact that us adult men all in this room are on Christmas break, much like your children.
And?
Well, I think it's important to note that in order to go on Christmas break, you have to do 3 times the amount of work ahead of time in order to then have the break, which is fine.
The past 2 weeks have convinced me that I don't really want a Christmas break moving forward. Just too much stuff. Plus, less time at home with family.
Yeah.
Well, you two without kids obviously don't understand that kids get about 16 days off coming up here.
Ooh.
We're in the midst of it, right? As we're live here.
Am I right, Phil?
Oh, yeah. Preaching to the choir, bud.
All right. The question was, does anybody have any New Year's resolutions? It's January 2nd when the show comes out.
Yeah, I'm going to start drinking at work.
Okay. Cal has an Edmund Fitzgerald lager.
Yeah, Great Lakes Brewing Company. It's a porter.
Okay.
Very tasty.
6%. She's a doozy.
37
yeah, 6% is
IBUs.
pretty tough for me these days.
He's going to start talking like a Michigander here pretty soon.
I don't know if it's a resolution, but I did get lucky enough to sign up and get onto the roster to run the Crazy Mountain 100.
Oh, sweet.
Ooh.
And so that's pretty exciting.
When is it?
It's July 25th.
Okay.
So I have roughly 6 months of heavy-duty training.
And that's started by now.
Yes.
We should backpack in there and just set up a checkpoint.
That is a
for
great
Giannis.
great idea. My family and I did that last year at Sunlight Lake and watched all the runners come through. We stayed up until like midnight.
Is that what lit the fire for you?
No.
It's like, I should be out there.
I paced the year prior to that, and that got me pretty excited to do it.
Yeah. I feel like I could pack in there with the old steel chainsaws and help out a lot of the runners there because there's a lot of blowdown in that race.
Really?
Yeah.
Corey
100
did
miles through that country.
Oh, I think they have it. Well, I haven't heard that, but it might be a thing.
Well, Randall's brother
He
did a pre-run and
He
said it
did
was
like
nasty.
60 miles like a couple weeks before the race to just check out part of the course. And
Because he was running it?
yeah. But then he got into a horrific bicycle accident and destroyed his arm.
Oh.
But he did run into a lot of blowdown on that shakeout run.
Okay.
So I can't say if he was officially on the course at that point in time. His navigation skills are questionable at best, but he did encounter blowdowns on that run.
I did sit with him on the couch while he just destroyed like 4 pizzas by himself.
After that?
Yeah, which was cool to see.
Yeah, we just got back from the rodeo.
Yeah, he was he was having a great time.
Yeah.
Any other resolutions in the room besides Yanni's making a big old run up a mountain?
Corey?
I mean, I'm hoping to help deplete the predator population in Region 1 of Montana. Hopefully when this podcast comes out on the 2nd, I'll have a couple wolves down. Yeah, not reaching too far into 2025.
Okay.
Hopefully by the first week, I have my first wolf in the back of the truck.
Yeah. I want to start creating a history with a place that I hunt. Ever since I moved to Montana, I don't have a place that I've went back to more than 2 consecutive years to hunt. And that kind of disappoints me. Looking back at like when I'd hunt the same property when I lived in South Dakota, like for 5 or 6 straight years, sometimes a decade in some cases, you'd like get to know bucks and spots, and you'd like really create a relationship with a place. And I haven't had that since I moved out here. So I need to start finding a place that's like, that's my spot. That's a spot I go to every year. And I think next year it begins. Is like when I find the place that I go to for the 3rd consecutive year, and then that all of a sudden becomes a place in a decade from now that I'm still going to hunt.
So to clarify, are you still looking for that spot, or might you go back to one of the spots you hunted this year?
I have some spots in mind, but I'd also love to start a new spot and find a place this coming year that I think could be that kind of spot. So I'm just like missing a thing in my fall where I really deeply know a place, and I want that back.
It's lovely.
I hear you. I hear it, because it's good to have both, because I think there's a lot of credit to give to someone that doesn't hunt more than a year or two in the same spot, because you're forced to learn new places and be successful in new places. But
you can have both.
You can definitely have both. And I love going back to a spot, that I've been to, and I know it's more casual. It takes away some of the stress for me.
Big time.
No, it's true. But it is a crutch, though, too. So, like, if you're the person who's like, well, our family hunting camp is this, and that's my week of hunting, it puts some limitations on your effectiveness as a hunter, because, you got to be challenged with, the figuring stuff out as you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, I think it made me a better hunter, but I want a spot that's my spot now. And I haven't had that living in Montana yet, but next year it starts. Randall, Cal, any resolutions before we start tackling these questions?
Well, you want to jump back to the Edmund Fitzgerald Porter here.
There's a tremendous amount of oxidation around the...
Well, what I want to know, I think this would be like the best gimmick in the world. So for folks who don't know, the Edmund Fitzgerald sunk. Okay. And it's a big rusty Hulk, and the cap on the beer bottle rusted.
I was gonna say
all the way around. That was like part of the flavor profile.
We got those beers a couple years ago, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
They came in on a freighter from the Great Lakes.
Yeah, they have to spend a year underwater in order to be sold. I'm in. So, like hunting related things, I need to kind of came to the conclusion this year that my Montana mule deer spot is just like it needs to be burned. The habitat is wrong at this point, to where it used to be. It was hard to intercept mule deer in there, but when you did, they were big. Now it's like kind of like, oh my God, there's a deer in here. And it's a hard place, so I need to start expanding and doing some summertime exploration of some other spots, which I just I thought
you were going to say you'd burn it. That was going to be your resolution.
Well, I know a lot of wildland firefighters that would appreciate that.
Hands-on habitat management there.
So that would be one thing. I need to go find a new good mule deer zone. And then, just going through cases of shells on the shotgun side of things over the summer, just shooting more in general on center fire as well. But that's just got to be a part of the program. And, schedules get so jacked up, it's hard to prioritize this stuff. But, man, does it pay dividends. So... and then getting back on just like a really consistent dog training schedule. Oh. These dogs benefit so much from that consistency. And that's a hard thing to pull off with the type of travel that we do too. But I can still do better.
What is going well in your life?
I wear...
It's going to turn this thing around.
The shooting, the dog training.
I wear the same clothing like 3 days a week. I could make that 4 days a week.
There you go.
And get more dog training in. Sacrifices.
Yeah. Yep. I'm getting to be that way with age. Easy. Like, don't wash pants now for weeks on end. I'm like, this
You're
shirt...
not supposed to wash jeans very often.
I don't know when the last time this shirt was washed.
Yeah. Yeah, why beat it up? throw on some pit stick. Yeah, I swapped out the interior shirt here.
Yeah, that I do more often.
Yeah.
Randall, what do you have to add?
I don't know. I need to stop lying around me.
With that, we're going to
Is that the truth?
Starts with myself. Actually, in all honesty, I need to shoot my rifle a lot more. I used to be in the habit of shooting, a couple thousand rounds, center fire in a year, and this past year was probably the worst year for shooting that I've had, just in terms of volume. And there's nothing like just good old practice to make you feel like you're ready when the fall rolls around.
2025.
Did the lack of practice affect your hunt? Did you have a miss this year?
Yes, but I don't know that practice would have. It was a very bad situation, just a rush. But yeah, I got in. I was like getting all my stuff ready, and I, putting my rifle in the truck. And I'm like, man, I should shoot more. I used to shoot a lot, like literally burning out barrels and rebarreling rifles. But, work just gets in the way. Family, all sorts of commitments. Yeah, the dogs. Yep. They're just always trying to get my attention. And they don't like shooting rifles, so it's tough. But I'm going to be more selfish this year, I guess is what I'm saying.
Can you shoot at your house now?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Shoots on his property, but not at his house.
Yeah, it's going to get awfully drafty if you shoot too often.
Cute.
All right, we're going to tackle some listener questions here. We got about 10 of these. First one is from James. I'm in my 40s. I live in Northeast Ohio. And
welcome,
despite
James.
Having a dad who hunted, I never took an interest until recently. What would be your advice for the first thing someone should do to take their first step towards hunting whitetail deer? I've shot guns for many years as a hobby and recently took my first archery lesson. I'm open to gun hunting or bow hunting. To answer this question first, here is Mark Kenyon.
Why?
All right, this is a great question and one that we hear from folks frequently, people that are intrigued by whitetail deer hunting but just don't know where to start. And my number one piece of advice is to seek out a mentor. There's so much to learn to get started as a deer hunter. There are so many different things about deer behavior, deer habitat, hunting strategy. You can get some of that from podcasts and videos, of which we have plenty at MeatEater. You can read about these things in magazines and web articles, but the single best way you can learn is to actually find a real-life person who can answer your questions, who can maybe take you out there in the field with them and show you some of these things firsthand. And there is a terrific program to help you find a mentor, and that is called the Field to Fork program. It's put on by the National Deer Association. You can sign up to be connected with mentors like this through their program and to possibly go through this incredible educational experience. If you go to deerassociation.com/field to fork, that's FIELD-TO-fork. Go to that website, do the new hunter survey, see who they connect you with, be a part of that program if you can. There's also a Deer Hunting 101 online course you can participate in through that program that'll definitely give you some of those building blocks to get started. Good luck.
That thorough answer is why Mark Kenyon got to go first, Yanni, but what would you like to add?
It's pretty solid. Now that I heard it, I might have to retract my earlier statement.
The seriousness of tone in that short clip, I think, really is at odds with the mood in this room right now. So I'm just feeling a little conflicted about.
Mark doesn't want you to have fun when you're out there whitetail hunting.
Yeah.
Take it seriously.
Well, I tell this folk, Northeast Ohio's a great place. You have it's a short range weapon state, right? So it's a straight wall cartridge if you want to shoot center fire, but there's a shotgun season, muzzleloader season. Yeah.
Crossbows.
You want to own a shotgun. You got spring turkey. It's big turkey state. Lots of grouse. And you can shoot a deer with a shotgun there. So barrier to entry is pretty low. Lots of cool stuff in Northeast Ohio. So.
I got two pieces of advice for James. First one would be Randall Williams is from Ohio. So reach out to him. And he'll tell you all his spots, give you all his connections.
Opposite corners of the state, though.
It doesn't matter.
Salty chili spaghetti.
I think if you want to kill a deer in Ohio, find a place where you are allowed to hunt, and at least when I was growing up, buy a crossbow. Go buy a Barnett Rhino or whatever the entry-level crossbow is these days, and that's how we figured things out. There's a lot of deer in Ohio.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just saw a giant 200-plus inch buck just got whacked on public land in Ohio.
It's a good state. I've never hunted Ohio. I've always wanted to hunt Ohio, but the public land in that part of the country hunts a lot bigger than other places because you have these rolling hills that are really timbered. So there's a lot of opportunity.
Oh, explain hunts big. That's a great hunting phrase.
Hunting big would be like if you had 2 80-acre parcels. One of them was 70 acres of corn with 10 acres of timber and slough grass that are flat. That hunts small. Whereas if you had 80 acres of rolling hills with creek bottoms, that would hunt big. You feel like you don't see everything when you're hunting that 80 acres versus if you're hunting the 80 acres that's all cornfield and a little bit of slough and timber. So Ohio, I think a lot of the public land there hunts bigger than other parts of the Midwest. Here's the other thing I'd say to James. As someone who picked up a new hobby during the pandemic, which was rock hounding, I learned so much of what I know now, or like gained a foundational level of knowledge just through watching YouTube videos. A lot of YouTube videos. And deer hunting is no different. You're not going to become an
because
expert.
You couldn't identify a rock before you could find the internet and YouTube.
No.
You're like,
well, I mean, it sure got a lot easier. The barrier to entry is much.
They're always
lower
running
now.
away from you. You couldn't figure out where to find them.
So James, YouTube is going to help you out. It's probably not going to be the reason you kill a deer, but you'll find a lot of relatable content there from MeatEater and others. Anybody else have any advice for James?
I mean, finding a mentor is huge, but if you're struggling to find a mentor or, schedules don't align, just go out, go hunting. You'll make mistakes, but you'll learn from them.
Got to put yourself out there.
That's right.
Find a spot. Sounds like there's deer everywhere. Find a spot you can hunt legally, and learn it. Learn that landscape. Learn that property, whatever it is. Maybe go knock on some doors so you can get yourself a spot where you don't have to have any competition. But, I think learning the landscape really helps people be successful.
And don't think that you need to dedicate whole days. Like whole days and multiple days in a row are fantastic, but those are hard to come by. So if you can find a spot that's close to you where you can kind of eliminate that, like, oh, it's not worth going out type of mentality, like, man, you can learn so much by those 15-minute, 20-minute, hour-long sessions where, it's like, sure, you got to, you could be home washing clothes or something, but
we know you don't need to do that very often.
Yeah, we already covered that.
All right, James is going to kill a big old buck in 2025. Here's the next question. This is from Joe. For those with kids, what are your go-to places to getting quality youth hunting base layers and outerwear for cold weather hunts? We put our two fathers on this side of the table. They even dress the same today.
They just got back from an audition to be the next brawny paper towel man.
We were telling some great dad jokes, too, just before we got on.
Yanni, Corey, how do you outfit your kids when you're going out hunting or just doing anything in cold weather?
I'll be honest in that, I get a pretty steep discount with the old First Light. And even when my girls were... They make it extra small in women's.
2X small?
I believe so.
Oh.
And so even when they were super small, we could fit them into that, and then we just did the hand-me-down thing as we grew up into them. So that's one way to do it. I mean, obviously you're getting the highest quality of youth, but that's, it can be expensive. I think you can do an REI. These days, synthetic base layers, let's be honest, like if it's polyester, it's polyester, right? You can go get some knockoff stuff at Target probably. If it's not cotton, you're probably going to get pretty close to similar benefits from buying super expensive synthetic base layers, and it's going to get the job done for you. And then when your kids trash it or grow out of it, you're not out a bunch of money.
Yeah. Corey, I don't know if Marshall's been on too many hunts yet, but I assume he's done some skiing with you. How do you get him dressed for those?
Yeah, you
those
kind of
days?
took the answer right out of my
That
mouth.
was a weird way of saying skiing. What was, do you not like skiing? What's your deal?
I like skiing. I didn't think I said it weird.
Spencer's
Sorry.
a good skier now.
Some skiing with you.
No.
A skier, anyway.
I'm competent. I don't feel like I'm going to go out there and do a green and break my arm. So that's the sweet spot for me.
I mean, my kid's only 6. We've gone on one spring turkey hunt and multiple fall and winter squirrel hunts. So, actually, yeah, wearing ski gear is what we've been doing. I mean, just staying warm is so crucial. And then having 2, if not 3, backup pairs of clothes because inevitably they're getting wet and uncomfortable. So having backup boots, socks, gloves, just to keep them out there as long as you can is what I do. And then for like base layers, man, we just go to Costco and get the good solid synthetic stuff for $9.
I've ran into Corey twice at Costco. If I was trying to pattern him to assassinate him, I'd just go to Costco. And then Winco. Because I know he goes to Winco as well.
Meet me in the food court line at about 11:45 on
That's
a Monday.
where I'd find him. Yep. And I assume with ski gear, they make that for kids of like all sizes, just like little tykes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Up to teens.
Yep, little guys. Yeah, so warm and comfy.
Anything else to add from the fatherless people in the room?
Goodwill.
Well, I have a father. Thank you very much.
Oh, I'm sorry. The childless people. Yeah, of course you have a father.
What do you think, Cal? If you're going to dress up a little kid.
Well, remember, the question is where? Where?
Yeah, where do you find them?
Well, good. Yeah, thank you, Randall. So a ton of my hunting stuff came from the St. Vincent de Paul Church thrift store that my grandma worked at. And so, she'd cherry pick the 50-cent wool items for us. That's the stuff to grab, especially if folks are going to, if they're really hard on stuff or if they're going to grow out of it, right? I mean, go recycled.
Yeah, and I'd just say find a well-to-do family with kids slightly older than yours and get their hand-me-downs.
Yeah. And pattern
Kids
them.
are always getting made, and it's just like you find an age class slightly above yours and position yourself to benefit from that.
Yeah. That works.
That's a good strategy.
We've gotten a lot of hand-me-downs from families.
How's that for some
a little bit older
advice from the childless side of the room here?
Or just don't have kids like me, Cal, and Randall. Here's the next question. This is from Adam. What qualities should I look for when picking boots to hunt elk in Wyoming? What are your go-to boots for a Western elk hunt? To answer this question, here is Jason Phelps.
What quality should I look for when picking boots to elk hunt in Wyoming? And then what are my go-to boots on a Western elk hunt? So the qualities I'm looking for, it really depends on where you're hunting, what type of hunt you've got, and then really how tough your feet are. Everybody's a little bit different, and everybody's foot shape's a little bit different. So a boot that may work perfect for me may not work for you, may not work for somebody else. So you need to try all these boots on. Number one, they need to fit. So that's one quality. You need to have, you need to fit your heel pocket based on what insoles you have. You need to make sure you don't get hot spots on steep stuff, down and uphill. But then as far as where are you hunting? If you're above tree line and the steep stuff, hunting above the goats and mountain goats and sheep, then you're going to want a boot that's typically stiffer. You're going to want a boot that's typically taller. As you put more stress on your feet. And then if I'm hunting in the sagebrush, maybe flatter stuff in Wyoming, I'm gonna go for a boot that's more flexible, something that my foot won't fatigue as quickly in, even though I'm in a more flexible boot. Versus if you take that flexible boot up high, in the steep stuff, your foot may fatigue throughout the hunt. And then as far as what are my specific go-to boots on a Western elk hunt, I found that the Crispy Brickstall line of boots works best. So they've got like a 4-flex rating. Uninsulated boot I wear on a lot of my September hunts. I went on a sheep hunt this year. I chose their Pro, which is 2 inches taller, and a stiffer sole on that boot, so it didn't flex as much for the steep stuff. So for me, Crispy Brickstall and all of those boots work really well. But really, you got to go try boots on. Make sure they fit your foot. Make sure they're comfortable. And that's my recommendation on Western elk hunting boots.
Yanni, you tackle this one after Jason. What do you have to add about finding the right boots for an elk hunt?
Yeah, I mean, Jason covered it very well there. The only thing I would add is that oftentimes, like an archery season, when I know I'm going to have to be sneaky because I want to get in close for a archery shot, is that the boots need to perform both in hiking, climbing across mountains, but then also in those last 50 yards when you're getting in close. And so I'll often go with a boot that is kind of not undersized, but it's not what you would consider like a big mountain boot, right? Because I need it to be soft enough so that at the end, when it's go time, I can maybe run a little bit very comfortably, and I can be very sneaky and quiet. Usually the bigger the boots get, the burlier they get, the sole gets stiffer. The stiffer a boot is, the noisier the boot is. There's nothing like sneaking through the woods in a pair of running shoes. Like the elk cannot hear you coming. So that's something to consider. But otherwise, I think Jason covered it pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even mountain, even right now or yesterday, now with our current warming trend we're going through, which is so annoying, walking through fields that are frozen with a full shank, stiff mountain boot is very unpleasant because there's just no flex in that boot. But you take that boot onto steep terrain, shale, rock, and it's the best. It's your best friend. So you do having a little bit of a quiver, some options throughout your season is great. And yeah, I would say don't automatically assume that you need like a fully lined boot, like a Gore-Tex liner, because that's going to be a more expensive boot, or an insulated boot is going to, it's going to perform well only in a specific range of temperatures. So if you're hunting in a warm day, then you're going to sweat that boot out from the inside, and it's not going to perform well for you. So I would really caution folks to really analyze their season before they go into an insulated boot. I sure do. And then, everybody's like, what is the boot? And people have very different feet, just like your fingerprints. So there's a gajillion boot companies out there for a reason. They all have different lasts, which is like the footbed form of the boot, and that's because people have different feet. So don't think that just because you need a hunting boot, you need to look at hunting boot companies. If you're not finding success in hunting boot companies, go look at the Loas and the Scarpas and that mountaineering world too. These companies exist for a reason. So,
Randall, Corey, anything to add?
Footbeds. I mean, yeah, get you a good boot, but do not skimp on solid footbeds.
There you go.
Or insoles.
That's not a real expensive upgrade either to make.
No, I mean, you could spend $50 to $100 easily with some over-the-counter stuff, or just go to your local REI or whatever, or you could get some custom ones that might run you a couple $100. But anything is going to be better than what you buy. It's pretty sad you spend $500 on a boot and the footbed is garbage. So make sure you get a better footbed.
I would only add that I think the more I guess like over time I've come to prefer a lighter and lighter boot, just because heavy boots wear you out and you like can't wait to get them off. So if you don't need something like super high and super stiff, I think like things on the lighter end of, I have like a spectrum of boots. But I often find myself, if I can get away from it, going with like a lighter option, just because it's more comfortable and you never want to take them off.
Only thing I'd add to this is I've had really bad luck ordering hunting boots online as far as sizing goes. It seems that more than casual footwear or tennis shoes or dress shoes, hunting shoes.
Or bass slides.
Yeah, any of that. The sizing is much more variable. And so if you can find a boot that you can go try on in person, it'll make your life easier than having to order something online and be prepared to then make a couple returns.
Yeah, to piggyback on Randall's point there, and Jason even mentioned it, like if you're hunting elk above the mountain goats, that happens to like 0.5% of the elk hunters in our country annually. It's just not a thing usually where you're hunting above the mountain goats. So you don't need boots that are made for that alpine, shale, super rocky landscape because you're just not there that much. The elk are usually in the timber.
Moving on, next question is from Krista. My family eats a lot of ground venison with burgers, tacos, and chili firmly in our rotation. What are some other weeknight meals with ground meat that are easy, tasty, and outside of the norm? Cal, what could you recommend to Krista?
Larb. That's good stuff.
What?
Larb is really outside of the norm. Carry on.
I mean, it's just finely chopped or ground meat. And what is it? Thai? Is it Thai?
Yeah, Thai.
Yeah. So, make like lettuce wrap tacos, make a little sauce. That's totally a winner. And it's, it's a little sweet, ginger, garlicky, little red chili in there.
I'm going to do some larb tomorrow night. I had some ground pulled out. I needed an idea. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Someone else make some recommendations for Krista and Yanni.
We have a delightful North African meatball recipe from the New York Times. And we just had it last night. Little couscous, but they're like these little meatballs and kind of it's almost like I don't know. It's almost like you've had those, haven't you?
No.
Oh, well.
I put a lot of trust into the New York Times recipes.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't been let down
they're
yet.
solid.
The New York Times recipes will not lead you astray. But yeah, this North African meatball thing.
And to be clear, if you're new to cooking wild game, if you find a recipe from the New York Times, you can just use venison in place of ground beef.
And
basically anything.
We'll make like whole cookie sheets of these meatballs, and then make the sauce, and then fill up gallon baggies with meatballs and sauce and freeze them.
Yeah.
And so
do you broil the meatballs to cook them?
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like last night we had people over for dinner, and we didn't tell them that we'd pulled these out of the freezer and just simply reheated them, but we did, and they loved it.
On a similar note, we make a lot of pot stickers at my house. A few times a year, we'll set aside a Saturday. We'll just get the wonton wrappers that we get from Albertsons, but I think they sell the same exact ones at Walmart and Hy-Vee, whatever your grocery store is. And that makes ground venison go a really long ways. We'll do a 1-to-1 ratio of ground meat and vegetables / mushrooms. And I think this last time we made 300 pot stickers in one going. And then that's a super easy freezer meal to get out. You freeze them in whatever portion makes sense for your family size. You get those out and you can be serving them within 15 minutes. And they're just really easy to make, both like prepping them for the freezer and coming out of the freezer. So pot stickers, highly recommend.
Yep.
And you can make them to your liking. If there's like a certain vegetable or flavor profile that you really like or really dislike, your pot stickers can be unique to your taste.
Basically, every culture has a pot sticker, too. So, like, if you wanted to put, like, marinara sauce and mozzarella in there, like,
sure,
it's not that crazy.
Wonton wrappers are a great vessel for just like any meats and veggies.
We filmed a stand and stir with Chef Linda here in town.
Is that Hummingbird?
Yeah, Hummingbird Kitchen, yeah.
I've been looking to go to some of her meals.
You should do it. It's super, super cool. And Linda's a hoot. She's super fun. But that should be on the MeatEater YouTube channel, and we do wontons.
January 14th. That should be on the
really?
YouTube channel.
Son of a gun. There you
this
go.
guy here.
Yeah.
Yanni, Corey, unique ground venison meals besides burgers, tacos, and chili.
Man, it's not unique, but y'all ever had hamburger helper? But I do it without the box.
Grew up with
Homemade hamburger helper.
Oh.
Meat, little can of like cream of mushroom, and then your favorite vegetable, can of corn, can of green beans, peas, whatever, and then some noodles on top of that. Man, you could call it a goulash.
You mix it
depending
all
on how runny
together?
It turns out. Yep, one pot meal.
Yeah.
Just say, depending on how runny it turns out, you can call it a goulash.
Correct.
I love it.
we do a lot of meatballs too, usually Italian flavor profile, but we do the same thing that Randall does and we make hundreds and then freeze them, and usually around 20-ish is what you can get into a liter vacuum seal bag, but those are great.
And do you put sauce in there?
No,
Okay.
no.
Dry.
Did we cover meatloaf?
Yeah, I mean,
I assumed
People know
meatloaf was
meatloaf.
part of this. Was part of this program.
If it wasn't explicitly mentioned in there,
Yeah.
I think we should just point out meatloaf should be celebrated.
Stuffed.
and different styles of burger. Oftentimes my kids are like, we don't like burgers anymore. I'll be like, what about smash burgers? Oh yeah, let's have smash. And so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make them real thin.
On the topic of meatloaf, though, I think when I think of meatloaf, there's like the meatloaf my mom made, which I don't like, and then there's like an elevated version of meatloaf recipes you can find online. I think we
which
have
is
some.
just using more bacon.
Yeah, it's like using some cheese and sautéed spinach and just some other herbs and spices, and that's like that's a unique weeknight meal that anybody could make at home.
Great leftovers.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
I mean there's no end, like pocket food, right? Like so like we're talking wontons, pierogies, pasties, empanadas. I mean yeah.
Piragi.
Yes.
Yes.
And the MeatEater.com posts new recipes every week. I bet the most common protein in those recipes is probably ground meat. So the MeatEater.com/recipes. You'll get all kinds of good recommendations there. Next question. This is from Cole. I was wondering what you think the most doable DIY big game hunt would be out west. Some considerations would be tag attainment and public land access. I imagine you guys are going to have the same answer, but I would say an antelope hunt. It takes like the least amount of gear, least amount of time, the least amount of physical fitness. If you're coming from the Midwest or the East or the South, and this is your first Western hunt, the tags are like the same price or cheaper than deer tags in a lot of these states. Public land access.
But I feel like these days, I mean, it used to be a thing where you could get a bunch of pronghorn tags, and now it's like there
Got
is
some
no
winter
just
kill issues.
easily
Sure.
attainable. I mean, unless you have some private access.
What I would say to Cole is this is a hunt you could plan for 2027 or 2028, but you're probably not doing a good rifle antelope hunt this coming fall.
I'm going to go with another big game option that starts with the letter A, and that is antlerless. Find a cow tag, find a doe tag.
Often cheaper.
You're going to have the same experience. You're
Less
going to take
people out
home.
there.
Yeah, you're going to take home meat. You're not going to feel like things are as competitive as if you're gunning for a big buck or bull. So, if you just want to go make some memories and check out a new part of the country, I'd look into those options. And oftentimes those tags are cheaper as well, in addition to being more available.
And antelope and antlerless have a lot higher success rate for hunters out there. What do you guys got to add to this?
Black bear.
Oh.
Over the counter.
At a different time of year.
Yep. I mean, spring
Giannis
or
just made a
fall.
face. He has
Well,
thoughts.
some of us don't know how to kill them, or at least have a curse and aren't somehow allowed to kill them.
Yeah, there's more of a learning curve to it, though, I would say.
No,
for
it's not
someone
easy.
coming out for the first time.
A lot of states have 2 seasons for them. Some regions have overabundant numbers of black bears. So save a couple deer, go shoot a black bear.
Giannis?
Yeah, I was going to go on what Randall said. I was going to just say go get a doe tag. Very doable, very attainable. You can just drive around looking for a doe. You don't even have
but
to
you can
walk.
hunt. You can hunt your butt off too if you want to do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of ways to.
Go backcountry.
Cal, any other advice for Cole on how to plan his first doable DIY big game hunt out west?
Boy, the biggest limitation people put on themselves is time. Give yourself time, and that's the hardest thing to acquire, in my opinion. But boy, give yourself like a full week, no matter what you do, or more. Like if you want to do your first big game hunt, and you're like, I'm going to take a long weekend, you're just setting yourself up for not having a great experience. You can have a surprisingly good experience, but it's just going to be you're going to have that clock ticking in the back of your brain the whole time.
Yeah, it seems like when you're short on time, you end up thinking about like work or family stuff that's going on. If you've got a full week, you'll have some extra time built in on the beginning and end of that.
Yep.
And if the trip starts out poorly, you can just totally reset, and you still have another 3-day hunt on the back half.
Yep.
Next question is from Kevin. This is a short one. What's your go-to hunting and fishing snack? To answer this one, here is Brent Reeves.
My go-to hunting snack. I usually keep it in my side-by-side, and I keep it in an army can like this right here. And here it is. Potted meat. Beanie weenies. Cheese crackers. Now, if you want to get bold and make a meal out of it, this is what I do. I also like Viennas, but I don't eat them when it's cold because you get a little salve on them when that gel kind of sticks to the weenies. But this right here, potted meat, and cheese crackers. My brother Tim and I ate this just the other day. We was running the nets on the river. And we needed a little snack because all them fish was sapping all the wind out of us while we was out there pulling them in. Here it is right here. Cheese crackers, potted meat. It's good.
I believe him.
What a treat. You should go watch this on YouTube because you'd get to see Brent preparing his little lunch there. And this is how organic that was for Brent. I sent an email last night at like 9 p.m. asking everyone to make these videos by noon. So that was just what Brent had on hand. That's truly like his favorite hunting and fishing snack. He didn't go out and produce this content.
We just had to go to the old army can.
That's right. Randall, favorite hunting and fishing
But
snack.
first, I want to know if anybody in this room has had that meat that he just pulled out.
Well, potted meat, like there's a wide variety of canned meats.
Okay, because that almost looked like a pate.
It did.
Is that what it is?
That looked like cat food. I don't know what that was.
Yeah.
I mean, I enjoy pate,
Right.
but I don't really know what he.
I don't know.
I think the other thing he was referencing was what Vienna sausages.
Yeah, which I thought that was the go-to in that part of the country. Was
Do you say Viennas?
I like that.
Yeah.
Vienna
was great.
weenies?
Randall, go-to hunting and fishing snack.
Man, this past year I just ate a lot of peanut butter and jellies. Like
so-
a lot of
so
times,
good.
I like get a gallon Ziploc bag and fill it up. I'll have some nuts. I'll have some jerky. I'll have some like a power bar. I'll have this and that, and then I just don't eat it. And I just this year I was like, I'm gonna make 4 peanut butter and jellies. And at any point in the day, if I get hungry, I have one, and it's perfectly satiating. And I will, I'll consume all the calories I need, and I won't have to think about what I'm picking out of the bag and whether or not I'll want to eat it, because I always want to eat a peanut butter and jelly.
How about you, Cal?
Obviously, like it's all dependent on situation, but Randall got to experience a little bit of hunting camp with some of the crew that I grew up horse packing with this year, and no matter what's happening, there's at some point the Little Smokies that we'd scald in a pan.
Sure.
And eat little Smokies out of a pan, and that was always like an awesome deal.
Is that just a miniature hot dog?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They're cocktail weenies.
Yeah, like for making pigs in a blanket.
Yeah. And then smoked oysters. I mean, they were just like a thing when I was growing up, and I still love them. And occasionally, I'll just have that for dinner by myself here, and in a home, in an actual.
I love
home.
a smoked oyster, but man, in the woods, it's just such a mess maker. And then you got that greasy can left over. Sure. You almost need a vessel to get the can in your backpack and out of the woods.
I don't do it backpacking anymore because of that, and it's just like, you end up like packing dirt in there to try to like soak it up, and then you're like, well, then I dump the dirt out, and then it's all a mess. You're correct, but yeah. So I do Pro Bars. Is like a staple, and it's not something that I really enjoy at all. And the refrigerator bars, what are those ones? They're supposed to be refrigerated.
Yeah, there's a few of them out there. There's a Bozeman local company. Is that the one you're thinking of? They make that product. It's like called Jack and Jane, or maybe.
I should know because I picked up those packages from your front door and put them in your refrigerator.
Yeah, but it's like almond butter or whatever, like in a bar, peanut butter in a bar, and those are a big deal. And then, at this point, I just don't even mess around with like trail mixes and stuff like that.
I've actually gone back towards trail mix a little bit more, but custom making it.
Yeah.
Like going to Costco, I get the big bag of cashews, the big bag of cranberries, some mango slices, and that way when I go in there, I'm like, oh, this is all stuff that I like, that I want to consume. Because there's nothing worse than looking at that trail mix and you're like, yeah.
Yeah, you're like, white chocolate.
Yeah, sweet.
F you.
My favorite hunting and fishing snack, always has been, I think always will be, are apples, because it's good at any temperature, whether it's 80 degrees or 20 degrees. And it also keeps me regular. When you're like, on a 5-day hunt or something like that, that's an awful feeling when you just can't go to the bathroom. And if you're eating apples, that's never the case. It's a natural diuretic, at least for me. So apples are a go-to. And then also this year, this is the first time I had honey stinger stuff. And I have yet to have a bad product from Honey Stinger. They're waffles. They're like energy gels. Some of them have caffeine in them. I'm a really big fan of those. So apples, Honey Stinger stuff. Corey,
nice thing to add to some apples too is you can get those Justin's peanut butter packets or hazelnut butter packets, and if you need just a little more protein or something.
Yeah, it's good like at 5 a.m. and it's good at 5 p.m. An apple.
And they keep.
That's right. Like I said, 80 degrees or 20 degrees.
All this stuff applies to peanut butter and jellies, too.
Well, like the dark chocolate Justin's peanut butter cups. I'll like...
It's an expensive item, but they are good.
It is, but like when I'm at night, I'm heating up my meal or whatever, I always boil enough water for my meal and like a cup of tea, which could just be, like one of those salt packet deals. Or a liquid IV or something thrown in water, but it's hot flavored drink, and then we'll have my like dark chocolate peanut butter cup. And that's like my whole backpacking dinner right there.
Corey, is there a universal snack you could bring guiding that anybody would eat and enjoy?
Jerky.
Oh,
yeah, and it also every bite reminds you why you're out there. Some homemade jerky. And I don't know, the store-bought stuff's okay. Man, it's expensive these days, though. So some homemade venison jerky, salmon jerky, too.
It's all these damn diet trends getting into the jerky world.
Yeah, the whole carnivore BS.
I've been souping up the PB&J a little bit the last few years. And Jess Johnson, from Artemis down there in Wyoming, she turned me on to it. And it's just do it on a tortilla instead.
Yeah.
Maybe you need a little less bread in your life. Maybe not. Maybe just different flavor. But then I also have been putting in like a slice or two of bacon. And then peanut butter, jelly, bacon.
It's real canvas.
That'll set you free, brother.
I'll buy Jack Links every now and then, just hoping that there's going to be like a little note inside saying I can come hunt their property, like I won an award. They own like 20,000 acres of badass ground in western South Dakota where they raise the cattle that turn into the beef that you eat. So someday I'm going to open up that package and it's going to say, congratulations, you won a mule deer hunt.
I think you're very sneakily right now, just like throwing shit.
That's absolutely what I'm doing. Absolutely what I'm doing.
Just in case Jack Links are big fans of
Mr. Link.
It's not even sneaky.
He's seeding his dreams into the world.
Yeah, it's not even sneaky, and their names are the Links, by the way.
So, you're kidding me.
No, it's Link, the Links.
They make their own sausage, too?
That's amazing.
All right, their next question is from Cy. My family has always owned dogs, but now we're ready to own the dog. The was all capitalized. A dog that hunts and is great with the family, the kind of dog you remember long after they're gone. Does the crew have any recommendations for how to pick the right breeder or pup? And to answer this question, here is Tony Peterson.
We should always be looking for the dog that's like the best dog ever, I think anyway. But a lot of people focus on the off switch. which is sort of a minor thing, even though it doesn't seem like it. You just train that in. Like you can train any dog to be a good dog in your house. You can't train a dog to have extra drive out in the field. So for me, that's my focus when I'm picking a pup or I have somebody looking for a litter for me. And so I forget about the individual dog and look at the blood. Like you want to check out the pedigrees. And for me to get a lot of drive, I like to have some hunt test and some field trial, competitors, champions in the mix somewhere in there. At the very least, you're going to get a dog that really likes to work, is intelligent, it's going to be an athlete, and there's going to be a lot of good health checks that come along with that. And that's the way you're going to get the drive that you're going to have to work with. And then you're going to have to take that pup home and just train that off switch.
Cal, how did you select Snort?
What the heck? Well, I liked a lot of what Tony just said because, the drive is what you need, and it's hard to, like, encourage more drive if that's what you're looking for. It's way better to try to train for the off switch. So folks can't see it, but Snort, here, come on, up. Snort's been here the whole time.
Oh, good Snort.
And this dog's got an incredible amount of drive and runs like a bat out of hell and has all the things, sometimes too much of them in the field, but she's just been crashed here on the floor for, hours. And she's 4, which, is plenty old for some folks, but I know a lot of people listening probably have that dog. You're like, that dog's 8 and everybody still thinks it's a puppy. And I think hunting is a great way to take dogs that have a ton of drive, and these dogs understand. They're like, oh, here's where all of my energy and neuroticism go into this thing that, like, really clicks with that little doggy soul. And I think there's a lot of knucklehead Labrador retrievers out there that are that way because they don't get a hunt. I picked Snort exactly like Tony said. So I said, hey, I want a dog that is a little hard-headed and has some independence. And when I went and picked her up, I still have a video of it. She had a pink collar. A lot of these breeders, they're like, they tie ribbons around them or color code them somehow, some way. And she was the only puppy that was not, like, up at the gate paying attention to what's going on. But when I walked in, all the puppies got up on the gate and they were like, oh, something interesting's happening. And then the pink collar girl turned around and all the puppies just spread out of the way. And Snort came up to the fence and was like, And at that point I was like, oh man, maybe I shouldn't have done this
Spiritual
way.
At that point.
Well, I interpreted it more as like, oh, that's the alpha female in this thing, and she's like, all the puppy litter was like, get out of her way.
And she's picking you. You're not even picking her.
I don't think she was picking me. I think she's just like sizing things up. So, but the plane ride home and everything, she was like, oh, I need a friend here because this is scary stuff. Oh, yeah. And that's where the bond was formed initially. So, but yeah, I like that. I like higher drive, more competitiveness, stuff like that. You can train out some bad behaviors. It's just hard to build them in.
I feel bad.
You can hear Tony talk about more of those things on Houndations right now on Cal's Week in Review,
which I think is a very unique dog podcast. In the world of dog podcasts out there, I think this is a unique take. So Tony's doing an awesome job.
I feel bad for all of the dogs that this family has had prior to this moment, because they're not remembered. They're just like cast off, forgotten, and I don't even know if they got a proper burial.
But deep down, when those
They
dogs
said in the
know,
email, it's time to quit messing around.
when those dogs look in the mirror, they know what they're looking at. I mean, do you think they're really
Just a dog, not the dog.
Not the dog.
Yanni, how many trips did you make to the pound before you found Mingus?
I only made one.
Okay.
Did
you have an inside source there?
No, because at the time, what had happened is I had been researching dogs way too long, like over a year, maybe coming on 2. And it got to the point where my family said, F this, we're just ready for anything with fur and at least a couple of legs, and we'll be good. We just need something to rub on. And so I just got a phone call that said, hey, we're heading down to the Stafford Shelter in Livingston. They've got a bunch of blue tick coon hounds. If you want any input on this, you better come down too. So on the way there, I'm like calling my buddy Jake, who runs hounds. I'm like, hey, what do you know about blue tick coon hounds? Because looks like we got a chance. So the way we picked out a dog is that basically by the time I got there just in time to see the guy from the shelter basically shoving my kids into the cage with the puppies and locking the latch behind them. And then they just had a ball in there. And they picked out the mild-mannered one.
Oh. So you had other options there besides Mingus.
Yeah, there were 2 others that were definitely... At that moment in time, it's hard to tell because Mingus looked emaciated. And I think that if I had to guess, the other 2 males were just stronger, tougher, and when there was any food around, Mingus was not getting a bite, right? Because the other 2 were pushing him out of the way maybe. He was literally a bag of bones. And yes, we could have picked what seemed to be more, aggressive, more energetic, definitely healthier looking in the moment dogs, but we went with the mellow one.
Mingus is huge. He's not
huge.
He's probably not as big
If you let him, he will easily hit 100 pounds.
Big boy. And I brought Snort home, at like 7.5 weeks. Mm-hmm. Little tiny puppy, and Mingus is the first dog because we were watching Mingus at the time. So I brought a Snort home and put her down in her kennel and just opened the door and was like, don't drag her out of there, let her have her space. And then eventually she crept out and crawled into bed with Mingus. You want to, just
another good
cute. Cute.
Randall?
But Mingus, this giant dog, like real hunting dog, like gentle old soul, man. Good dog.
Randall, you think you own as many dogs as everyone else in here combined?
Yes.
How did you pick those?
Well, our most recent dog was a rescue from a breeding operation. So we got her when she was 6.5, and just a delightful animal. Terrified of everything, people mostly. But we didn't really have choices there. We saw this Facebook post that they were trying to find a new home for this dog, and so that's how we got Lil. Dolly, this was like the day or like we were going to go to New Orleans for a wedding. The wedding got canceled because of COVID, so we're like, well, we're going to be home for a little while. It seems like a good time to get a puppy. So we called around and tried to find a litter that was available within a 5-hour drive. And sure enough, we drove down to St. Anthony, Idaho, and there were 2 puppies left in this litter. And the one was like this, and then the other one was like this on top of it. And I can't remember if Dolly
They were
was
in a pretzel format.
Yeah, I can't remember if Dolly was on the top or the bottom. But we're like, how bad? I mean, they're both doing cute things, plus there aren't any other options. So we grabbed Dolly and drove home. And then the lockdown order went into effect. Rosie, I don't know what we did to get so lucky to have Rosie, but none of our dog buying experiences, I probably, if I just started from scratch and sketched out the playbook, it would in no way resemble how we got our dogs, but
not applicable.
Nope. I mean, asking how to buy a dog, that's a good hunting dog and that is going to make you proud in the field and is going to be well behaved at home. Asking me that question is like, I don't know, asking someone who's never been in a serious relationship what their marriage advice is or something to that effect. I don't know. I have dogs, but they don't fit that profile, so
they just exist.
Yeah. Like Dolly doesn't have an off switch. She just carries the tennis ball around and puts it in your lap. But we love her still.
Corey, anything to add?
Man, I don't really have a dog in this fight.
Oh, good one. All right.
And so our next question is...
We're going to do our final question. This is from Nancy. What would y'all be doing if you didn't work at MeatEater? What's your dream job? And to answer this, here is Clay Newcomb.
I am very interested to hear this.
Spencer, you asked me what I would do if I didn't work for MeatEater and I was doing my dream job. Man, I'm really ambitious and I would just shoot for the stars. I would like to raise and train young mules and about every 2 years sell a crop of really high dollar finished mules. That would be part one of my entrepreneurial business because I've always valued independence over finances. So part one would be mules. Part two would be I would raise a few squirrel dogs every year. Now it's not big money in squirrel dogs, don't get the wrong idea, but it'd be just enough to make it worth it. I'd probably have to supplement it with some manual labor. I've got a college degree. I mean, like I could go work in the business sector or something, maybe, I don't know. But that would just be ridiculous. I'm not going to do that. So I would probably have to do stonework. That's kind of something that I do. I do masonry work. And lastly, I'd commercial fish with Brent Reeves. Me and Brent Reeves would own the southern fish market. That's my dream entrepreneurial package right there.
Giannis, dream job? Raising mules and catching fish?
I think it'd be fun to learn how to train a mule, but not my dream job. I have been thinking about that lately. I've been really getting into the habitat management thing over there in Wisconsin, and I could see it be that sometimes I get jealous of those foresters and those people that are doing that work. So I look at them, I go, man, I think they might be spending more time outdoors than I am. Because even in the off season, right, they're just out in the woods working some way or another. And I don't know. I've been digging, going into that rabbit hole, and so I could see doing that.
We had a trivia question before about the happiest profession in America, and it's forestry. People who work in forestry are the happiest. Not just
by golly,
not just happiest of folks in like the outdoor industry or people who work outside. Just the happiest in the entire country. Corey, how about you?
A surf instructor in Costa Rica.
Do you know how to surf?
I can stand up on a surfboard.
You can?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
But
Impressive.
I don't know if I'm technically surfing.
You're a way better surfer than I am.
Where did you learn those skills?
Behind a boat on Whitefish Lake growing up.
Oh, that don't count.
Oh no, but it does translate into the ocean.
Have you gone in the ocean?
Mm-hmm. In Hawaii.
Wow.
You stood up.
But if
impressed.
I could afford it, I'd drop everything and move my family to Costa Rica and just live in a banana house on the beach.
Given your complexion for your long-term health, I think it's a good thing that you're not a
they
surf
call that the
instructor.
Widowmaker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or a professional golfer.
Oh,
Golf courses aside.
Corey is a great golfer.
Can I be a magician? I mean, come on. What are we doing?
I'm the best golfer in the
Corey
office.
is genuinely MeatEater's best golfer, and he does it like once a year. Sometimes once every 2 years.
Didn't make it out this year.
But he played thousands
You and I went out.
Yep, the one
thousands
time,
of days prior.
But
thousands?
For most people, golf isn't like that, where like you just don't play for a decade and then you go play and you're still good. Corey, it is like that.
Well, most people overthink shit,
Oh yeah,
Golfing
I'm out
is a
there
lot of
not
that.
thinking at all.
I could work the rest of my life to be as good as Corey, and it wouldn't happen.
I don't think so.
Genuinely. All right. My dream job, I would want to be a fantasy football commissioner for high rollers. Imagine leagues that have like $1 million purse, where I'm the commissioner for like Michael Jordan and Jerry Seinfeld and Snoop Dogg. And every single week, I'm like writing a newsletter for them. I'm hosting just an absolute banger draft party at the beginning of the year.
I'll be honest with you, Spencer. I can't imagine it.
Oh, it'd be great. I would design logos for each team. I'd have power rankings. I would be so good at that job. And I would just be like the fantasy football commissioner.
I can't even
Stars.
tell you that I want that for you because I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, that's good. The other thing, I'd love to be, like a hunting consultant. Maybe if like Jack Links. They need like a hunting consultant for their
Jack
property.
Links. Tell me more.
Yeah, and then I'd go out there and be like, well, here's how I'd do it. And then they would pay me, and I'd also get to hunt there. So I think that's the other one.
They'd probably pay you enough that you just be able to buy your own 20,000 acres.
Mm-hmm. Randall, dream job.
Oh.
Besides playing MeatEater trivia.
I was going to say playing professional basketball. I can shoot a basketball.
Yeah, and you're tall enough to be a point guard.
Oh, no. Yeah, I thought if we were just doing our dream jobs, we could arbitrarily change everything about ourselves. So I'd be 6'8".
Well, I don't think we've quite done that. I mean, Spencer did just kind of.
That job does exist, though.
Which one?
Your dream job.
I mean, so
I'm
does
sure.
surf instructor in Costa Rica and forestry.
Jeez.
6'8" Randall playing small forward.
Yeah. I should have thought about this more.
Cal, dream job. We'll come back to Randall while he thinks about it.
Food truck
Oh.
for part of the year. That'd be great.
Have you ever watched
This is very attainable.
Have you ever watched a Great American Food Truck Race?
Interesting.
It's a lot of fun.
Tell me more about why that would be a dream job for you.
I really like food. I really like people appreciating the food that I cook.
Mm-hmm.
And here in Los Angeles, there's just like this horrible void of the breakfast sandwich market where it's like, man, you want to fork over $14 for just a crappy breakfast anything?
Yes, I don't.
Man, it's here in Bozeman.
It's very true.
Oh, just ridiculously overcomplicated crap. So yeah, good coffee, breakfast sandwich, open until we're closed.
Do you already know the makeup of this breakfast sandwich? Like, do you make it now at home? I want to hear.
Yeah. Well, the sandwich is Egg McMuffin.
Okay.
Right. Just like a nice solid Egg McMuffin.
Okay.
And
American cheese?
Yeah.
Canadian bacon?
No. God.
And is it
What's
butter?
wrong with American bacon?
Is it
Love
butter?
it or leave it, Randall.
Is it butter on the muffin, or what are we putting on the muffin?
Mayonnaise.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
Yes.
That's what I do with cream
But
cheese.
don't tell anybody. Because they'll love it.
Yeah.
But if you tell them,
What's
they'll be
so
like,
good about this?
Yeah. So that's one part of it. And then, yeah, I want a reasonably sized, farm and grazing operation. And I want to live in the middle of it.
Okay. Randall?
I want to be like a property manager, but like it's not actually like someone's like, oh, he's got a guy.
You want to be like Magnum PI.
Yeah, I
Like,
want to be.
he lives in that giant house.
Well, and they're like, I don't really know what he does, but he seems to be comfortable and he has access to all of this stuff that he didn't earn. I'd like to be that guy.
Lamborghini, helicopter.
He's got to get the boat. Oh, so and so's coming in for a fishing trip. He's got to get the boats out. Make sure the boats are all running well.
And then you tell someone to get the boats out.
Yeah, exactly. I have like a couple like local teenagers that do most of the work for me.
Yeah.
And you just shower them in wisdom.
Yeah, but I'm just sort of grumpy all the time, despite this.
You know where the name Evinrude comes from?
Embarrassingly comfortable situation that I've stumbled into. I think that would work well for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about the food truck thing. It just seems hot in there.
a lot of work, too.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound like what your dream
and a
job
regular
entails.
schedule. Yeah. Actually, I was at a bar last year, and there were two women, and they were dressed well, and someone asked, "Oh, what do you do?" And she said, "Yeah, I manage money. I'm a financial manager." And her friend said, her friend sort of popped her balloon. She's like, yeah, she just manages our money.
Oh.
And so that's what I like to do.
Yeah.
You know,
I'd learned the first year in Bozeman that the question of saying, like, what do you do for a living can be a little indelicate sometimes.
Yeah.
So I've heard folks phrase it, what keeps you busy? And that's like an opening to saying what your career is, or if you don't have a career, what you do instead.
Yeah.
So what
I'd like
keeps
to
you
be
busy?
a dilettante with a vast portfolio.
Yeah. So we've got Randall as the starting small forward for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cal has the best food truck in Bozeman. I'm the fantasy football commissioner of the
Only if you
Stars.
want breakfast sandwiches my way.
Corey's
Until they're sold out.
sunbaked on a beach somewhere.
in Costa Rica
For the next 6 years.
showing people how to stand on.
I
the
hopefully
surfboard.
haven't killed
Drinking out
myself
of a coconut.
cutting
golfing.
giant oaks down.
Yeah, Giannis is missing a limb.
Phil the engineer, what would be your dream job?
Oh, well, I'm pretty lucky because my dream job would be being a podcast engineer for TheRinger.com. Please, somebody help me. I'm trapped. I would leave in a heartbeat. Pop culture, sports, I don't give a shit. Get me out of here.
That is the end of the show. We're going to cut it off right there. Happy New Year. Good luck with that.
Happy New Year!
We'll see you next week with our regularly scheduled MeatEater Radio Live programming.
Oh.